Latin teaching is a secondary education major where students learn pedagogical skills in the School of Education, classroom management skills and so forth, but they also learn major specific skills in the classical studies program, learning to read Latin and learning to teach Latin. Well, Latin teaching graduates prepare pretty well to teach Latin in high schools and secondary schools, elementary schools as well. And that's a fairly specialized teaching role, but we have teachers who major in other disciplines such as chemistry or mathematics or English, along with their Latin teaching, and are really broadly qualified to teach in lots of disciplines when they get to high schools. The most obvious set of skills one develops as a Latin teaching major is involves teaching Latin, the literature of the ancient Romans, which ranges from important historical texts to some of the greatest and most fundamental poetry that was that's existed in the Western world, and then on to ancient documents and inscriptions and things, the writings on buildings and stuff like that. That's Latin literature. But beyond that, Latin teaching major or any student of Latin learns to think analytically about sentence structures. This is something we always promote when we're talking about the strength and importance of Latin teaching. You learn how to read very closely, very analytically, how a sentence goes together, how a paragraph goes together, how an argument holds together, and so forth. So we teach that, and really believe that that's an important skill that's acquired through Latin learning and Latin teaching. We're a bit unique in that it's a very specialized thing, but we're probably similar to in many ways to Spanish teaching, English teaching, and what makes us unique is our language is sometimes called, the dead language. We like to think that it's actually the language that's immortal. It won't die. Latin's been with us for a really long time. We teach Latin differently in schools and at the university, differently than other languages teach their language. We teach it for reading. Though there are lots of teachers that teach for oral comprehension, speaking Latin in the classroom, but it's different in that way. The way the language is taught, the way the language is managed in the classroom, but the gains are different as well, I think. I suppose the most attractive feature of the Latin teaching major is there is essentially a guarantee that a person can find a job. If the person is willing to travel to Texas or New England or Upper Midwest, places where there are lots of teaching opportunities, the person is assured of finding a job. Even in the state of Utah, where there were traditionally 9 high schools that offered Latin in their programs, that number has sort of exploded in recent years with charter schools. We now have about 30 programs. There are lots of places where, even in the state of Utah, where people are teaching either part-time or full-time as Latin teachers.